Welcome everyone. Today we're diving into the dark side of classic Hollywood. The biggest stars of all time had to pay a heavy price for fame. We'll take a look at the terrifying things they went through. Let's get started. Judy Garland's abuse. Judy Garland, famous for her role as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, faced significant abuse during her time at MGM Studios. Under the pressure to maintain a perfect image, Garland was subjected to extreme dieting and medical treatments. The studio insisted she keep a slim physique, often forcing her to consume restrictive diets. Alongside the dieting, she was given a combination of amphetamines to stay awake during long hours and barbiturates to help her sleep. These extreme measures were physically damaging, leading to addiction and mental health struggles. Garland's body began to deteriorate due to malnutrition, and her emotional well-being was affected by the constant pressure from the studio. Despite her immense talent, her personal life and health suffered as she became increasingly dependent on the substances prescribed to her. Garland's tragic end was the result of these pressures. Despite being one of Hollywood's brightest stars, she passed away at a young age, leaving behind a legacy that sheds light on the darker side of the studio system. Her experience serves as a cautionary tale about the toll the industry can take on its stars when they are reduced to mere commodities. Marilyn Monroe's objectification. Marilyn Monroe's career was largely defined by the way Hollywood turned her into a sex symbol. Though she had acting talent, Monroe was often limited to roles that showcased her physical beauty rather than her abilities as an actress. Studios focused on her sex appeal, and this overshadowed her ambitions to take on more serious and complex roles. Monroe's career suffered because of her typecasting as the quintessential dumb blonde, despite her intelligence and desire to be recognized for her skills. The studio system saw her as an asset to be exploited for her looks, limiting her creative freedom. She fought against being viewed only through the lens of sexuality, seeking more challenging roles. However, the industry's obsession with her image never waned, and she was often left with little control over how she was portrayed. Her struggles with mental health and her personal life were exacerbated by the constant pressure to conform to the public's expectations of her as a sexual icon. Monroe's tragic death was a culmination of the pressures she faced, and her legacy remains a stark reminder of the toll the industry takes on its stars. Rita Hayworth's identity transformation. Rita Hayworth, originally Margarita Carmen Cancino, was one of the most iconic stars of Hollywood's golden age. However, her rise to fame came at the cost of her personal identity. To fit into the image of the all-American beauty, studio executives changed Hayworth's appearance and even her name. Her original surname, tied to her Spanish heritage, was changed to the more American-sounding Hayworth. In addition, her natural dark hair was lightened and her hairline was altered to create a more mainstream look. These changes were not just cosmetic, but were part of a broader effort to present her as the ideal Hollywood leading lady. The pressure to conform to a specific image left Hayworth feeling disconnected from her roots and personal identity. Although Hayworth became one of the most popular actresses of her time, starring in hits like Gilda, the changes she endured were emotionally taxing. The sacrifices she made to her identity illustrate the extent Hollywood went to in order to shape its stars into marketable figures. This transformation not only helped Hayworth's career, but also highlighted the industry's tendency to erase the cultural backgrounds of its performers. Dorothy Dandridge's racial barriers. Dorothy Dandridge, the first African-American woman nominated for an Oscar, faced significant racial barriers throughout her career. Despite her immense talent, Dandridge struggled to find roles that reflected her abilities and was often limited to stereotypical parts. The Hollywood system was rife with racial discrimination, and Dandridge was often denied the opportunity to showcase her true range as an actress. Her groundbreaking nomination for Carmen Jones was a step forward, but the industry was not ready to fully embrace an African-American woman in leading roles. Dandridge's career was marred by the lack of opportunity, and she faced constant barriers in an industry that was largely segregated. Her struggles to be accepted as a leading lady were compounded by personal hardships, including financial difficulties and failed relationships. Dandridge's legacy is a testament to the challenges African-American actors faced in Hollywood during the 1950s. Despite breaking down some racial barriers, her career was still limited by systemic racism, and she was not afforded the same opportunities as her white counterparts. Her journey highlights the racial inequalities that shaped the industry for years. Jean Harlow's health neglect. Jean Harlow, one of the most famous actresses of the 1930s, endured immense pressure from the studio system during her career. Despite suffering from serious health issues, including a kidney infection, she was forced to continue working. Harlow's intense work schedule was part of her contract with MGM, and the studio pushed her to keep working regardless of her physical condition. Harlow's health deteriorated further due to her exhausting filming schedule. She was reportedly given little regard by the studio for her well-being, and her condition was neglected in favor of production deadlines. This neglect played a significant role in her early death at the age of 26. Her tragic passing left the Hollywood community shaken, as she was at the peak of her career when she succumbed to the illness. Her story is a chilling reminder of the exploitation and disregard for the health of actors in the studio system. The industry's focus on production and profit often came at the expense of the well-being of its stars, as seen in Harlow's tragic end. Her legacy is not only defined by her success on screen, but also by the unhealthy work environment that contributed to her untimely death. Frances Farmer's forced mental hospitalization. Frances Farmer's career took a tragic turn due to the oppressive nature of the Hollywood studio system. Known for her talent and beauty, Farmer's rebellious nature led to her being labeled as difficult by the studios. As her career began to falter, she found herself caught in a series of personal struggles, which eventually led to her involuntary commitment to a mental institution. Farmer's treatment at the hands of the studio system was cruel and unjust. She was diagnosed with mental illness, but much of her suffering can be traced to the exploitation she faced in Hollywood. Her commitment to the institution was not due to a genuine medical condition, but because she did not conform to the expectations placed upon her by the industry. The forced hospitalization and subsequent mistreatment she endured in the mental institution had a lasting impact on her life and career. Farmer's story is a stark illustration of the harmful effects of the studio system, where individuals were often labeled and institutionalized for failing to meet the industry's demands. Her career, once full of promise, was destroyed by the very system that was meant to elevate her. Buster Keaton's loss of creative control. Buster Keaton, one of the greatest geniuses of silent cinema, faced a significant loss of creative control when he entered into a contract with MGM. Known for his innovative comedic performances and groundbreaking film techniques, Keaton had long been celebrated for his ability to craft his films in a way that reflected his unique artistic vision. However, MGM's influence over his career proved to be stifling. After signing the contract, Keaton was no longer in charge of the creative direction of his films. The studio forced him to work within the constraints of a system that prioritized profit over artistic expression. The freedom he once enjoyed in his earlier films was replaced by the demands of the studio system, and Keaton's creativity was suffocated. This loss of control significantly impacted his career and the quality of his work. Keaton's struggles with MGM eventually led to a decline in his career. The films he made under the studio system were not up to his usual standards, and he became disillusioned with Hollywood. His experience highlights the tension between artistic freedom and commercial pressures, a theme that has been a recurring issue for many actors and filmmakers throughout Hollywood's history. Joan Crawford's negative image. Joan Crawford's career was significantly impacted by the studio's manipulation of her public image. Often portrayed as a difficult and hard woman, Crawford's personal life was frequently exploited to create a narrative that would serve the studio's interests. The media and the studio worked together to craft an image of Crawford as a demanding and difficult actress, which hurt her reputation. Despite being a talented actress and an Oscar winner, Crawford's career was marred by the negative publicity that surrounded her. Her relationships with co-stars and personal struggles were sensationalized by the press, contributing to her hard-edged image. This portrayal made it difficult for her to secure roles that showcased her true acting abilities and hindered her career growth. Crawford's story is an example of how Hollywood studios, seeking to control the image of their stars, could shape the public's perception in ways that were not always in the actor's best interest. While she was a talented and hard-working actress, the negative image constructed around her ultimately became an obstacle to her career, proving how easily an actor's public persona can be manipulated in the industry. Peg Entwistle's tragic end. Peg Entwistle, a promising young actress, met a tragic end when she jumped to her death from the famous Hollywood sign in 1932. Entwistle had moved to Hollywood with dreams of becoming a star, but her career never reached the heights she had hoped for. Despite her talent, she struggled to find success in a competitive and often unforgiving industry. After facing numerous rejections and personal setbacks, Entwistle became despondent. She was not the first actress to feel disillusioned by the harsh realities of Hollywood, but her death shocked the industry and remains a tragic symbol of the toll that the pressures of fame can take on individuals. Her decision to end her life at the Hollywood sign, a place of both hope and despair for many aspiring stars, highlights the darker side of the entertainment industry. Entwistle's story serves as a reminder of the emotional and psychological toll that the relentless pursuit of fame can have on aspiring actors, especially in a system that offers little support to those who fail to meet its expectations. Lupe Velez's struggle with cultural stereotypes. Lupe Velez, a Mexican actress, faced constant struggles with Hollywood's narrow views of race and ethnicity. Known for her beauty and talent, Velez was often cast in stereotypical, exotic roles that limited her opportunities to showcase her true range as an actress. Hollywood's tendency to typecast actors based on their ethnic backgrounds severely restricted Velez's ability to break free from these roles. Velez's struggle was not just one of typecasting, but also of cultural erasure. The industry demanded that she perform in roles that adhered to a rigid and limiting view of Mexican culture. Despite her attempts to transcend these stereotypes, Velez's career was confined by the industry's refusal to see her as anything more than the exotic, fiery Latina. Her experience sheds light on the systemic racism that permeated Hollywood during her time, and how it prevented actors from diverse backgrounds from achieving the recognition they deserved. Velez's struggle to be seen as a multifaceted actress rather than a one-dimensional stereotype is a reflection of the cultural challenges faced by many minority actors in Hollywood. That's it for today, folks. Those were the shocking stories of classic Hollywood stars. We've seen how harsh fame could really be. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe for more. See you in the next one.